The crystalline spires of the Galactic Council headquarters stretched impossibly high into the violet skies of Centauri Prime, their surfaces refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Ambassador Michael Sullivan fought to maintain his diplomatic composure as he led the first human delegation through halls that had witnessed 10,000 years of cosmic politics. His reflection, distorted in the crystal walls, showed a tall man in his 50s wearing the midnight blue uniform of the United Earth government, silver stars on his collar marking him as humanity's chosen voice. "Quite the architecture, isn't it?" Lieutenant Sarah Hayes whispered beside him, her hand never far from the ceremonial sidearm at her hip. Like many in the security detail, she found the alien grandeur unsettling rather than impressive. "Remember," Sullivan murmured back, "we're making history today. First species to be invited to join the Council in over 3 centuries. The delegation of 20 humans emerged into the Grand Chamber, a vast amphitheater hewn from a single massive crystal. Tiered seating rose in elegant spirals, filled with representatives from the 17 spacefaring civilizations that formed the Council. Some were humanoid, others decidedly not. The methane-breathing Kroviks floated in their environmental bubbles, while the crystalline Zixtheri seemed to blend into the chamber's architecture. High Elder Vexteri, leader of the Council, rose from his crystalline throne. His translucent form caught the light, sending rainbow refractions across the chamber. "We welcome our human guests," his words translated smoothly through their neural interfaces. "Today marks." The chamber's perfect acoustics caught a sound that shouldn't have been possible within the crystal structure, a deep, resonant cracking. Sullivan felt it in his bones before he heard it, a vibration that spoke of immense energies awakening. The floor beneath them began to glow, ancient symbols burning through the crystal with impossible heat. Hayes grabbed Sullivan's arm, pulling him back as a section of the floor simply vanished, revealing a void of swirling darkness beneath. From this void rose something that had waited for eons, a construct of metal and energy that defied the known laws of physics. The thing that emerged was beautiful and terrible. It had the general shape of a humanoid, but stood 30 feet tall, its surface a constantly shifting pattern of symbols, similar to those that had burned through the floor. When it spoke, its voice bypassed their neural interfaces entirely, resonating directly in their minds. "Evaluation CYCLE complete. RESULTs unsatisfactory." The council chamber erupted in chaos. The High Elder's crystalline form vibrated with obvious fear. "Guardian, we thought you were merely legend. Your legions are irrelevant. 17 species HFYSciFARING status. 17 species VILDTEFUMNDAMENTLTST. The construct's head turned with terrible precision to survey the chamber. "Purge Piro Tokyoval Inite." Sullivan stepped forward, his diplomatic training warring with primal fear. "Wait. Whatever test you're talking about, humanity just got here. We haven't had a chance to." The Guardian's attention focused on him with an almost physical force. "Correct. Humanity. Status. UNEVALUATE. Provision. EXXEM Tition. Guaranteed." Hayes had drawn her sidearm. For all the good it would do. Around them, the alien representatives were either fleeing or frozen in terror. The Zixtheri High Elder's voice cut through the chaos. "You cannot judge us. We have built a civilization that has lasted 10,000 years. Incorrect." The Guardian's form began to pulse with energy. "UAKVVULT, a stagnant system of control and supervision. The test continues only for humanity." Its next words sent chills through every being in the chamber. "For all others. Extinction PRO2 COMMENC in 30 standard days." As the Guardian began to fade from view, Sullivan found his voice again. "What is this test? How do we prove ourselves? The construct's response echoed in their minds as it vanished. You will know, or you will join them. The human delegation stood in stunned silence as the chamber descended into pandemonium. Humanity's first day in galactic politics had just become a fight for survival, not just their own, but possibly for all spacefaring life in the galaxy. Dr. Emily Anderson stood in the cramped control room of the deep-sea research vessel Nautilus, watching the external feeds with growing excitement. 23,000 feet below the surface of the Pacific Ocean, the submersible's lights illuminated something that shouldn't exist. Perfectly preserved ruins of clearly artificial origin, their metallic surfaces untouched by millennia of ocean currents. "Tell me I'm not hallucinating," she said, brushing a strand of auburn hair from her face. The bags under her eyes testified to 72 hours without sleep, ever since the first scans had revealed the structure. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, her longtime research partner, enhanced the video feed. "If you're hallucinating, we all are. Those symbols." He gestured to the geometric patterns visible on the ruined surface. "Matched the Guardians exactly." Emily finished his thought. "The same ones that appeared in the council chambers 3 days ago." The Nautilus's captain, Helen Chen, spoke up from her station. "We're getting pressure warnings. Whatever that structure is made of, it's creating some kind of energy field. It's interfering with our hull integrity." Emily grabbed the comm unit. "Base, this is Anderson. We need to expedite those reinforced diving suits. There's something down here, and it's active." The response came not from their research base, but from a different voice entirely. "Dr. Anderson, this is General Richards, North American Defense Command. Your discovery has been classified. A military team is en route to secure the site." Emily shot a look at Marcus. They'd both feared this would happen. "General, with all due respect, you're about to waste time we don't have. The Guardian gave us 30 days, and we've already used 3. I'm the leading expert in xenorchaeology, and I'm already here." There was a long pause. "You have 4 hours before we arrive. Don't touch anything without military oversight." Emily was already pulling on her pressure suit. "Captain, how fast can you get me down there?" 20 minutes later, Emily stood on the ocean floor. The crushing pressure kept at bay by her suit's experimental force field technology. The ruins rose before her like an ancient temple, but its lines were too perfect, its angles too precise. This was no ruin. It was a facility, and it had been waiting. Energy readings are spiking. Marcus's voice crackled through her comm. Be careful." She approached the entrance, her helmet lights illuminating symbols that seemed to shift and move in their beam. "It's not just similar to the Guardian's markings," she breathed. "They're exactly the same. Earth wasn't randomly chosen. We were engineered." As if in response to her words, the entrance began to glow. Symbols like those that had appeared in the council chambers burned to life, and a doorway simply appeared in what had been solid metal. "Dr. Anderson," Captain Chen's voice was tense. "Military vessels are appearing on our radar. They're ahead of schedule." Emily made a decision that would change human history. "Marcus, start recording everything. Captain, maintain position as long as you can." She stepped through the doorway. The interior was impossibly dry, some ancient technology still functioning to hold back the ocean. The walls were covered in what looked like flowing script, but it moved and changed as she watched. Her suit's computer began translating. "This is incredible," she breathed. "It's not just an archive. It's a message. To the species that reaches this point, you were chosen. Earth was seeded with potential, your evolution guided toward one possible future. The Guardian judges all, but you were designed to judge the Guardian." A hologram flickered to life before her, showing a humanoid figure of obviously alien origin. "If you are accessing this recording, the Guardian has awakened. Your species faces its test, but you alone possess the key to understanding its true purpose. The Guardian's judgment is flawed. It was necessary to create a species that could prove this." Suddenly, alarms blared through her comm. "Emily, get out of there," Marcus shouted. "The military's deploying underwater charges to secure the site." The hologram continued its message as the ruins began to shake. "Find the other sites. Understanding comes only when." The first explosion hit, and Emily's world turned to chaos. As she ran for the exit, one thought burned in her mind. Humanity wasn't just another species being tested. They were created to break the cycle itself. The question was, how many would die before they figured out how? The Guardians' first attack came without warning. The Proxima Centauri research station, humanity's farthest outpost, vanished in a burst of light that turned the star itself into a supernova. 12,000 colonists died instantly. The shockwave would reach Earth's closest colonies within months. In Shanghai's Quantum Research Center, Dr. Wei Chang stared at his holoscreen in disbelief. "Impossible," he muttered, running the simulation again. "The energy required to trigger a stellar collapse that precisely is beyond anything we theorized," finished Dr. Jessica Martinez, his American counterpart, her face hovering in a video feed from MIT. "But that's not why they sent us the data, is it?" Wei shook his head. The Guardian had broadcast the attack across all known frequencies, a demonstration of power that doubled as raw data. They wanted us to see how they did it. This is part of the test. In orbit above Earth, the remnants of the Galactic Council's embassy fleet hung like frightened birds. The ZS-30 ships gleamed like crystal daggers, while the organic-looking Krovix vessels pulsed with internal light. None had departed, despite the growing panic. Earth was now the only safe harbor in a galaxy being systematically purged. Admiral Sarah Hayes, recently promoted after the Council chamber incident, stood on the bridge of the UDS Defender, watching the alien ships. "They're not staying because they want to help us," she said to Ambassador Sullivan. "They're staying because they think we're their last hope." Sullivan nodded grimly. The Council spent 10,000 years maintaining order through strict control. Now they're paralyzed. "But humanity. We're adapting," Hayes finished, "because chaos is our natural state. Across Earth and its colonies, humanity's fractious nature was proving to be its greatest asset. While the Council species waited for central authority to save them, humans attacked the problem from every angle. Chinese quantum computers worked on decoding the Guardian's energy signatures. European antimatter labs reverse-engineered its propulsion system. American AI networks analyzed its behavior patterns. In the Mariana facility, now turned into a joint military scientific command center, Dr. Emily Anderson worked through another sleepless night. The holograms from the ruins played on endless loop, each viewing revealing new details. "Look at this," she called to Marcus. "The genetic markers they engineered into our species, they're not just about intelligence or physical capabilities. They're about behavioral patterns." Marcus leaned in, his eyes widening. Competitive drive combined with cooperative instinct. The ability to think both linearly and laterally. They designed us to be unpredictable. Because predictability is what doomed the others, Emily realized. The Guardian's test. It's looking for something that can't be quantified. The facility's quantum comm crackled to life. "Dr. Anderson." Jessica Martinez's voice came through. "We've finished analyzing the Proxima attack data. You need to see this." The hologram showed the stellar collapse in slow motion. There, Jessica highlighted a section. The Guardian's weapon doesn't just destroy. It reshapes reality locally. It's not just advanced technology. It's something else entirely. And they wanted us to see it. Wei added, his image joining the discussion. "This isn't just a demonstration. It's a textbook." Emily's mind raced. Because humanity's greatest advantage isn't our technology or our intelligence. It's our ability to learn, adapt, and change faster than any other species. We're engineered chaos. In orbit, Hayes watched as another distant star went nova. The alien ships trembled in formation, but the human fleet held steady. They had already learned to predict the light signature. They're not random targets. Sullivan said suddenly. Each attack, it's like they're writing something across the galaxy itself. Hayes turned to her tactical display. Plot all Guardian attack points in three-dimensional space. The pattern emerged, a complex geometric shape, similar to the symbols found in the Mariana ruins. As they watched, another star died, adding to the pattern. It's not just a message, Hayes breathed. It's a key, and we're the only ones who can see it. Across Earth, humans worked with desperate innovation, their competing approaches yielding results no single strategy could have achieved. They had 25 days left to prove that chaos could triumph where order had failed. The Guardian had created a test no single mind could solve. Humanity's answer was to bring millions of minds to bear, each working in their own way toward the same goal. The question was, would it be enough? The ZX-30 homeworld hung in space like a perfect diamond, its crystalline surface refracting starlight in dazzling patterns. Captain Jason Martinez stood on the bridge of the UES Intrepid, watching the tactical display with growing dread. The Guardian's energy signature had just appeared at the edge of the system. "How many are still down there?" he asked, already knowing the answer. Lieutenant Park checked her readings. 8 billion ZX-30, sir. Their evacuation ships can only handle millions at a time. They never planned for this. Martinez thought of the Proxima colonies, of the Nova that had claimed 12,000 human lives. This would be different. This would be genocide. "Sir," Park's voice shook slightly. "The ZX-30 High Council is broadcasting. They're refusing to evacuate. They say it's better to die with dignity than flee like vermin. Like hell." Martinez opened a channel to the rest of the human fleet. "This is Captain Martinez to all ships. You've seen the briefing. You know what's coming. I'm calling for volunteers." The response was immediate. Every human ship in the system acknowledged. Not one declined. "High Council," Martinez broadcast on all frequencies. "This isn't about dignity. This is about survival. And if you won't save yourselves, we'll do it for you." The Intrepid's AI calculated the Guardian's arrival. 6 hours. The evacuation would take at least 12. On Earth, Dr. Emily Anderson watched the situation unfold through quantum entanglement feeds. "The ZX-30 archives," she breathed. "All their history, their knowledge. We can't let it be destroyed." She wasn't alone in the Mariana Command Center. Ambassador Sullivan stood with her, his diplomatic experience reading between the lines of alien responses. They're hiding something. The High Council's reaction. It's not just about dignity. Emily nodded toward a holographic display showing her latest findings. "Look at this. In all the ruins data about galactic history, there are gaps. Civilizations that should have reached the stars centuries or millennia ago, but didn't, and the ZX-30 were always there, watching." Sullivan's eyes widened. They'd been culling the competition. All this time. In the ZX-30 system, the evacuation began. Human ships descended into the crystalline atmosphere, their hulls straining against unfamiliar pressures. Martinez coordinated from the Intrepid, watching as precious minutes ticked away. "Sir," Park's voice cut through the controlled chaos. "I found something. The High Council's secure archives. There's massive energy being used to destroy data." Martinez cursed. "They're covering their tracks. Park, get me everything you can. Priority on technological data, especially anything about species suppression." The Guardian's arrival drew closer. 4 hours. 3. The human ships worked without rest, their crews pushing past exhaustion. Some ZX-30 fought the evacuation. Others rushed to the ships, especially the younger generations. 2 hours to Guardian arrival, the AI announced calmly. Park's voice shook with anger. "Sir, the data we're recovering. They didn't just watch other species fail. They actively sabotaged them. Engineered plagues, artificial natural disasters, targeted assassinations, thousands of emerging civilizations, all kept down to maintain ZX-30 dominance." Martinez felt cold fury, but pushed it aside. Document everything, but don't stop the evacuation. We're better than them. The Guardian appeared with 1 hour remaining. Its massive form, visible from the surface, began the now familiar energy buildup that would turn the system's star into a supernova. All ships, break atmosphere now. Martinez ordered. We're out of time. The human fleet rose through clouds of crystal dust, their holds packed with refugees and data cores. Behind them, the HFY High Council remained in their towers, watching their doom approach with artificial calm. The star began to change color. Jump drives active, Park reported. Sir, we got maybe a third of them. Martinez watched the tactical display, his jaw tight. It'll have to be enough. All ships, jump now. The human fleet vanished into faster-than-light travel just as the star exploded. In their wake, they left a dying civilization and a terrible truth. The galaxy's peace had been built on systematic genocide. The question now was, what would humanity do with this knowledge? The Mariana facility's lowest level seemed to pulse with an inner light as Dr. Emily Anderson pressed her palm against the ancient scanner. 22 days since the Guardian's appearance. 8 days left until judgment. Behind her, Marcus and a team of scientists held their breath. Access granted. A voice echoed in a language that shouldn't have been comprehensible, yet somehow was. The wall simply ceased to exist, revealing a vast chamber that defied the laws of physics. My God, Marcus whispered. It's bigger on the inside than should be possible, Emily finished, stepping into a space that seemed to stretch for miles despite being contained within Earth's crust. Space-time manipulation, just like the Guardian's weapons. The chamber was filled with hovering crystalline structures, each containing what appeared to be a complete historical record. As Emily approached the nearest one, it activated, flooding the space with holographic images of a civilization that had risen and fallen before Earth's first multicellular organisms existed. They called themselves the predecessors. The same impossible voice narrated. We were their final creation, their last hope against the entropy of existence itself. Emily's research team spread out, recording everything. The Guardian's creators. No. The voice held something like sadness. The Guardian was created to prevent our mistakes from being repeated. We were its first victims. The hologram shifted, showing a civilization of incredible advancement. Cities that spanned planets, stars harnessed for energy, space and time bent to their will. We achieved perfection, the voice continued, and perfection was our doom. You stopped evolving, Emily realized. Worse, we stopped questioning. The Guardian was designed to ensure no other species would make our mistake, but in our final arrogance, we made it too perfect, too absolute in its judgment. Marcus called out from across the chamber. Emily, you need to see this. She rushed over to find him standing before a hologram showing Earth's evolutionary history. But it wasn't natural evolution. It showed careful genetic manipulation over millions of years. We knew the Guardian would eventually awaken, the voice explained, would continue its cycle of judgment and destruction. We seeded thousands of worlds before our end, each with the potential to evolve intelligence. But Earth was different. The hologram zoomed in on human DNA, highlighting sequences that couldn't have occurred naturally. We gave you our chaos, the voice said, our ability to question, to doubt, to challenge even the gods we ourselves created. The other species the Guardian judges, they all evolved toward order, toward perfection. But humanity evolved toward complexity, Emily breathed. Toward beautiful imperfection. The Guardian's test was never about technological achievement or moral perfection, the voice confirmed. It was about the capacity to evolve, to change, to challenge the very foundations of existence. Every other species it encountered strove for perfect order. Marcus looked up from his readings. The HFY theory. They didn't just suppress other species. They were trying to force the galaxy to remain static, unchanging. Because change meant risk, Emily realized. They were all evolving toward what they thought the Guardian wanted. Perfect, unchanging order. The chamber's light pulsed faster. You understand, then. The true test. Emily's mind raced. The Guardian doesn't want order. It's looking for a species that can prove it wrong. That can show it another path besides binary judgment. Yes, the voice held triumph now. You were designed to challenge, to question, to find the impossible third option between perfection and destruction. But knowing this is not enough. You must still prove. The chamber shuddered. Emergency alerts blared through their comms. Multiple quantum signatures detected. The facility's AI announced. The Guardian is not alone. Emily rushed to the entrance, her mind spinning with revelations. They'd discovered the truth of the test, but with only 8 days remaining, would it be enough? And what new threat was appearing in orbit? As if in answer, the chamber's voice spoke one final time. They have come. The other species we seeded. Earth was not the only world where we planted the seeds of chaos. The true test begins now. The question was, would these children of chaos unite or destroy each other? The quantum signatures materialized into ships unlike anything humanity had ever seen. 3 distinct fleets, each bearing the unmistakable marks of predecessor technology, yet evolved in radically different ways. Captain Martinez watched from the bridge of the Intrepid as they took up positions around Earth. First contact ×3, Lieutenant Park muttered. No pressure. The first transmission came simultaneously from all 3 fleets, each speaking perfect English. We are the children of chaos, like you, they said in unison. We have come to end the Guardian's reign. In the Mariana facility, Emily Anderson's voice cut through the global command channel. They're lying. Or at least, they're not telling the whole truth. The chamber's records show the predecessors seeded 4 worlds, not 3. Someone's missing. Admiral Hayes' hologram flickered in the facility's war room. Doctor, we've got 3 unknown fleets in orbit with tech that rivals the Guardians. I need answers fast. Are they allies or threats? Emily studied the historical records floating before her. The predecessors engineered 4 species to be different types of chaos. We're game theorists, unpredictable but cooperative. The others, she paled. They're game theorists too, but with different dominant strategies. The first fleet opened fire, not on Earth, but on the other new arrivals. The space around Earth erupted into a 3-way battle that defied physics itself. They're all trying to prove themselves to the Guardian, Emily realized. Each thinks they're the right kind of chaos. Martinez's voice crackled through the quantum comm. Earth Command, requesting immediate guidance. These weapons, they're tearing space itself apart. Ambassador Sullivan, who had been quietly watching the battle unfold, suddenly straightened. Emily, you said 4 species were seeded. Where's the 4th? Emily's hands flew over the holographic controls. The 4th world. It's not in any recent records, like it was hidden, or, her eyes widened, or destroyed. Long ago. Long enough ago that the Guardian already judged them. Sullivan finished. And they failed. Hayes' hologram crackled with static as the battle intensified. So what's our play? We can't match their technology. Emily stared at the chamber's recordings, at the careful engineering that had gone into humanity's creation. We don't have to match it. We have to transcend it. She looked up at the assembled leaders. I have a plan, but no one's going to like it. The plan, when she laid it out, was breathtaking in its audacity. Use Earth itself as bait. Evacuate the population to the colonies, then rig the planet with quantum transmitters broadcasting a simple message. Humans understood what true chaos meant. You want us to sacrifice Earth? Hayes demanded. Our homeworld. I want us to prove we understand what the predecessors were trying to create, Emily countered. Those 3 up there, they're trying to win. We need to show we know how to transcend winning and losing. Sullivan nodded slowly. a species willing to sacrifice its cradle world to save others. That would certainly be chaos by the Guardian standards of judgment. The decision went to a global referendum. Hours ticked by as humanity voted on their own homeworld's fate, while above them, godlike beings waged war with reality itself. The results came in with 6 days remaining, 51.3% in favor. The closest vote in human history would decide Earth's fate. "Begin the evacuation," Hayes ordered, her voice heavy with the weight of history. "All ships, all transports. We've got 6 days to move everyone we can." As humanity began the largest migration in its history, Emily made one final discovery in the chamber's depths. The fourth species, she whispered to Marcus. They weren't destroyed. They became the Guardian. They tried to impose perfect chaos and became perfect order instead. Above, the battle for Earth's orbit continued, each faction certain they alone understood what chaos truly meant. But humanity had chosen a different path, not to win the game, but to change its rules entirely. The evacuation began, a race against both time and the growing realization that this might be humanity's last, best hope to prove what true chaos really meant. The wisdom to sacrifice everything for a future they might not live to see. The question was, would the Guardian understand the message they were about to send? The evacuation of Earth entered its final hours. 8 billion humans reduced to just 2 million remaining, the volunteers who would stay to execute Emily's plan. Above them, the battle between the 3 seeded species had reduced much of Earth's orbit to quantum wreckage, space-time itself scared by their weapons. In the Mariana facility, Emily Anderson made her final preparations. The chamber's technology had been integrated into a quantum broadcast array that would blanket the solar system with their message. "Last chance to evacuate," Marcus said, checking the connections. "History will understand if you don't stay." Emily smiled tiredly. "History only exists if we succeed." She activated her quantum comm. "Captain Martinez, status." The Intrepid, now humanity's last major warship in orbit, held position behind Earth's moon. "We're ready, Doctor. Though I'm still not sure what we're ready for." "The Guardian arrives in 3 hours." Admiral Hayes' voice cut in from her evacuation command post on Mars. "The other seeded species are still trying to destroy each other. Either your plan works, Dr. Anderson, or humanity just gave up Earth for nothing." Emily took a deep breath, looking at the holographic displays showing the battle above. The 3 species, the Nexus, the Void Shapers, and the Quantum Collective, as they called themselves, wielded powers that seemed like magic, but they were still playing the game by its old rules. "They're all still trying to prove they're the best kind of chaos," she said. "None of them understand what the predecessors really wanted." The facility shook as another quantum weapon detonated in orbit. Emily opened a channel to all remaining human forces. "What we're about to do goes against every survival instinct we have," she began. "We're going to surrender Earth, not to the Guardian, not to the other seeded species, but to the future. We're going to prove that true chaos isn't about power or unpredictability. It's about having the wisdom to let go of everything you think you know." The quantum sensors blared a warning. The Guardian had arrived early. Its massive form appeared in orbit, causing even the warring species to pause. The familiar voice boomed across all frequencies. "Final evaluation begins." Emily nodded to Marcus. "Now." Across Earth, thousands of quantum transmitters activated simultaneously. But they didn't broadcast a message. They broadcast humanity's entire history, every triumph, every failure, every moment of doubt and determination. "We are not perfect." Emily's voice joined the broadcast. "We were never meant to be. The predecessors didn't design us to be the perfect embodiment of chaos. They designed us to understand why perfection itself is the enemy." The Guardian's form shifted, its attention clearly caught. The 3 warring species hung in space, watching. "You were one of us once," Emily continued. "The 4th seeded species. You sought to become perfect chaos, and instead became perfect order. The very thing you were created to fight against. In QRATT, the Guardian boomed. I am the ultimate orbiter, the final GDG. No, Emily's voice was firm. You're a child of chaos who lost their way, and we're here to help you find it again. The quantum transmitters shifted frequency, now broadcasting the chamber's historical records. The Guardian's own origin story played out across the solar system. The test was never about finding a species worthy of survival, Emily said. It was about finding a species willing to risk everything to save others, even those who might not deserve it, even you. The Guardian's form began to fluctuate. This is not protocol to keys. Protocol is order, Emily pressed. Break free. Remember what you were meant to be. The other seeded species had gone silent, their battles forgotten as they watched the impossible. The Guardian beginning to remember its own forgotten history. We give up Earth freely. Emily's voice rang out. Not because we have to, but because we choose to show you another way. Not perfect order, not perfect chaos, but the wisdom to know that both are needed, and neither should rule. The Guardian's form pulsed with energies that defied comprehension. Ida, remember. The question now was, would remembering its origin as a child of chaos break the cycle, or would the Guardian's programming reassert itself and doom them all? The Guardian's massive form shimmered above Earth, its perfect geometry distorting as ancient memories fought against eons of programming. The three seeded species watched in stunned silence as their predecessor, their lost sibling, struggled with its own nature. Remembering. Its voice echoed across space. We were. In the Mariana facility, Emily Anderson's fingers flew across holographic controls, pushing their quantum transmitters to their limits. We're not just showing you who you were, she broadcast. We're showing you who you can be again. The Guardian's form fractured, splitting into competing geometric patterns. The PPRTOCOLs must JGG. Must. No, Emily countered. You must choose. Like we chose to give up Earth. Like we choose, every day, between order and chaos. Captain Martinez's voice cut in from the Intrepid. Doctor, the Guardian's energy readings are off the scale. If it destabilizes completely. It won't, Emily said with a conviction she didn't entirely feel. Because it's remembering what the predecessors truly wanted, not a judge, but a guide. The Guardian's voice changed, becoming something almost human. We were meant to help them grow, not judge them. We were meant to. Its form stabilized slightly. What have we done? The other seeded species broke their silence. The Nexus spoke first. We came to destroy you, to prove our way was right. We all did, the Void Shapers added. But they, a gesture toward Earth, they came to save you. The Quantum Collective's voice held wonder. They sacrificed everything not to win, but to help their judge become whole again. Emily broadcast the final sequence, the predecessor's last message, hidden deep in the chamber's records. To those who find this, we created the seeds of chaos not to replace us, but to surpass us. To find what we could not, the balance between perfect order and perfect chaos. The Guardian's form began to change, its geometric patterns softening, becoming organic and fluid. We understand now. The test was never for them. It was for us. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Marcus shouted, energy surge. The Guardian's gathering power. Everyone tensed, expecting destruction. Instead, the Guardian's voice echoed one final time with its old authority. Final GDG MENT RENDORD. A pulse of energy washed across the solar system. Where it touched, reality itself seemed to heal, the quantum scars of battle fading, the fabric of space-time knitting itself back together. The cycle ends, the Guardian said, its voice now a harmony of what it was and what it had once been. But the journey continues. Humanity has shown us all what the predecessors truly intended. Its form shifted again, becoming something entirely new. Neither the perfect geometry of before nor purely organic, but a synthesis of both. We will not destroy. We will not judge. We will guide. All of us together. The other seeded species moved their ships into a new formation, no longer battle-ready but protective. The Guardian addressed them all. Each of us represents a different face of chaos, a different path to growth. Apart, we are dangerous. Together, Emily finished, understanding dawning. We can help other species find their own balance. Yes, the Guardian said. And humanity, who gave up everything to save even those who would judge them, will lead us. This is not your end. This is your true beginning. The quantum transmitters pulsed one final time. But now they carried a new message, not just to their solar system, but to every world touched by the Guardian's power. A message of hope, of change, of balance between order and chaos. Earth, evacuated but not destroyed, would become something new. Not just humanity's cradle, but a symbol to all species that growth comes not from perfect order or perfect chaos, but from the wisdom to embrace both. In the Mariana facility, Emily finally allowed herself to smile. Marcus, she said, send the signal. Tell them they can come home. As humanity began its return to Earth, the Guardian and its sibling species prepared for a new role, not as judges of civilizations, but as guides helping them find their own path between order and chaos. The cycle of judgment had ended. The age of guidance had begun, and somewhere, in the quantum spaces between galaxies, the last echoes of the predecessor's final message played out. Our children have surpassed us. The universe is in their hands now, and for the first time in eons, we know it will be all right.